So tonight I'm talking about mindset. And you really know that mindset, you have to know that mindset is ultimately a make or break in your business. It's going to be a make or break in your personal business. It's going to be a make or break in your team, in the communication that you have in your team. It's going to be a make or break in pretty much everything that you are trying. If my lips are red, it's because I had popsicles, and I do have squirrel syndrome, so bear with me. And I'm tired, so I'll probably have even more. I'm looking for my drink. Okay, good. You know, you hear people say, oh, have a positive mindset. You know, have it be all roses and unicorns and rainbows and whatnot. And that's really not what I'm here to share with you. I'm not here to tell you that having a positive mindset is what's going to win you new customers. I'm not going to tell you that having a positive mindset is going to give you an outstanding team that understands and has no drama. I'm not here to tell you that, because it's not reality. And reality is that everybody has responsibility for their own mindset. And so when we are part of a group that has many different dynamics, many different levels of learning or ways of communicating, different fears, when there's people that have so many different levels of character, there's always going to be some ebbing and flowing. That's going to be my nice way of saying conflict. It's super important that we understand what positivity means. It's super important that we understand what positive mindset means. And so I'm here tonight to share that with you, because I feel like that is a very strong part of my success. I think that it's been played out numerous times to show that it works. What I do with my mindset works. And those of you that are on my team, TPS family, you've heard some of this before. And it's okay, because I think that the more we hear something, the more it embeds itself in our mind, the more that we resonate with it, the more that we have the ability to actually implement it into who we are as human beings. And how we implement is going to be a little bit different for every person, right? Because again, we are different characters, we're different mindsets, we're different upbringings, we're different fears, we're different, just the way that our thought process is going to be different. And a lot of that comes from, or it starts from, how we were brought up, you know? And I'm going to give you guys an example. Robert says, I'm working hard on this. My mindset is keeping my eye on the prize, but sometimes I go astray. And you know what, Robbie, that's so common. And that's because we're busy. That's because our minds don't sit in meditative state 24/7. It's impossible, because our minds are wired to run this body. Our minds are wired to be able to multitask. We're able to see out of the sides of our eyes, right? We totally, it is very difficult to stay in, you know, it's difficult for horses, right? Horses, when they're running a race, what do? They put blinders on the side so that nothing is distracting them. So unless we can physically put blinders on, we're going to be distracted. It's just part of who we are. What we do with that distraction is what makes the difference. Okay? And so understanding that our level of understanding of what gets thrown our way or what gets put as an obstacle in front of us can either be looked at as, oh crap, something else has happened and now I have to deal with this, or I'm never going to get to where I need to be because this happened. Or we can look at it and say, okay, this obstacle has just presented itself. How can I utilize this to continue to go towards where I want? Which could be goals. Those are typically our goals, right? So mindset plays a part. And I think Orville had said this once, positivity doesn't mean happy. Positivity is so far from happy. Positivity means taking something and making the best of it. That's all it means. Positivity means having an obstruction in your way and learning how to take that obstruction and use it towards the benefit of where you are heading so that you can continue in that forward motion. Okay? We totally have the ability as human beings to change our thoughts in a matter of seconds. You know that, right? And I think we forget that. As a human being, we have the ability to change our thought in a matter of seconds. Then it's up to us to either believe that thought or not believe that thought. Because what you believe is what you will play out. So one of the things that I remind myself often is the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves is the story that we believe and we play out in our life. For instance, and I would love for you guys to write that down. The story that we tell ourselves about ourselves is the story that we believe and we play out in our life. Okay? If you... Positive affirmations, good. If you were a child and you were a quiet child, maybe you just contemplated things often. Maybe you were a thoughtful child, that you really loved to analyze things in your head by looking at things or, just internalizing things. We could sometimes label that act or that character as shy. And as we're growing up, we might hear things like, oh, don't worry, she's really shy. She doesn't talk much. She's really shy. And so ultimately, that perception that our parents created for us of being shy is what you're going to end up playing out for the rest of your life. When in reality, you might not have been shy at all. I find that people that are labeled shy are actually very thoughtful people. They think through things a lot. Now, I almost think that I would rather be labeled, if I'm going to be labeled, as someone who is very thought-provoking versus shy. So, is it the same thing? Sure it is. It's absolutely the same thing. It's just a different perspective, right? So, having a positive mindset, having positive thoughts is just a perspective of the same thing. Okay? There's a pothole in the road. And it's large on your side of the road. You stop your car in front of the pothole. The pothole is the same. No matter how you look at it, the pothole is the same. So some person could sit there and say, oh, I'm going to be late for work. Now I got to turn around. I got to go find a different route. This is horrible. What a crappy day. I can't get through this pothole because I'm going to wreck my car. With that same pothole, somebody that stops in front of it might say, oh, look, I can get around. There's enough space for me to get around it and I'll just keep going. So, same obstacle, but different perspective, right? Same obstacle, but different perspective. So, I challenge you guys to really think about how you perceive an obstacle when it comes into your way. Now, granted, there are some obstacles that are much more severe than others. And if ever an obstacle is going to give you physical pain, then I say find a different route. But if it's something that is thought perspective, what did I mention earlier? We have the ability to change our thought within a second. 1 second. If I am dealing with an unruly child, and you guys have seen this, if you have children or if you've been around children, you've seen it happen numerous times, where we can literally change how a child is behaving by giving them a different perspective. Okay? They're throwing a 2-year-old tantrum, they're laying on the floor, and we egg that energy by spanking them or by scolding them or by yelling at them or dragging them out of the store, right? So that's one perspective of how to deal with that obstacle. Or you have another mother that literally will get down on the floor with that child and say, hey, let's figure something out. Do you want to go do something different? Can we change your thought process on how we're dealing with this specific situation? You know what? If you can act like this, then maybe you can get that you want, right? So same problem, different ways of dealing with it. So it's a different perspective, same problem, same obstacle, right? I want you guys to really, really, really process this, because ultimately our mindset is going to start right there. It's going to start here. We're the only ones that can change a mindset. I can teach you till I'm blue in the face, but if you decide that you don't want to take this information and apply it, then it won't work for you, right? But I can guarantee you time and time again, when I have changed my perspective to be a more positive outlook, meaning that I'm looking at this obstacle and thinking, okay, how can I use this to my benefit, rather than, oh my God, this is in my way. What am I going to do? This sucks. You don't want to do that, because ultimately that energy that you're giving it is going to multiply and it's going to get worse. How many times have you woken up on the wrong side of the bed, grumpy, maybe snoozed the alarm 14 million times, got up, spilt toothpaste on your shirt, had to go change, stubbed your toe off the bed when you were getting a new t-shirt out of your closet, got stuck in traffic? It is this perpetual energy that just feeds off of negativity. Negativity feeds negativity, positivity feeds positivity. And that is a energy fact. That is a scientific fact, right? So if we approach an obstacle, if we have team members that are having a hard time with their business and they're spewing out, I can't believe this is on back order, or we're having this negativity, the shipping isn't happening, or something happens in our business, and all of a sudden somebody is posting this on your team page, what happens? This whole tornado effect that everybody gets sucked into, and now all of a sudden there's a gazillion different posts and comments about that one problem when it was never an issue before, right? So I always tell people, I'm like, look, it's the holiday season. Prepare your customers. Don't get upset that the shipping is going to take longer. Prepare your customers and say, hey, look, it's so awesome that Scentsy is so busy that during the holiday season, it takes a little bit longer for you to get your shipping. So we're going to make sure that we order your stuff in time so that you can have it in time for the holidays, right? Don't be apologetic and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. The shipping is so slow during the season. And because what's going to happen? Your customer is going to feed off of that, and now they're going to be upset, and all of a sudden they want their money back because they're not getting their order in time. Perspective. Same problem, shipping, with a totally different outcome because of how we perceived it and how we allowed that energy to flow forward. Okay? On my team pages, they're not allowed to post negativity, and they know that. And it's not because I don't want them to post issues. I want them to allow that issue to become a benefit for whatever it is that's ailing them. Okay. And also to go into the right direction and the right, I've always been told, go up with your problems, don't go lateral, and don't go down. Because all you're doing is feeding into a perspective that may not be educated yet. Sometimes new consultants don't understand about shipping. And if you're posting all of this stuff and all of a sudden everybody's posting with it, the new person is like, oh my God, Scentsy must really have horrible shipping, right? Can't do that. Can't do that. And some people have been like, oh, it's all roses and unicorns and rainbows and whatever. I'm like, no, it's not rainbows and unicorns. It's about understanding how to use perspective to make the obstacle a benefit for what you are trying to accomplish. So that saying that I said earlier can really pertain to anything. The story that you tell, whether it's about you or somebody else, the story that you tell about something is going to be the story that you believe, and it's going to be the story that you play out and feed energy to. You need to be very mindful of that. So when people say mindset just means what setting, what frequency is your mind at? All right? When we tune a radio station, okay, that was like totally aged myself, but let's go back to the day of tuning a radio station with the knob, okay? If you're a little bit too far to the right, you might hear it, but it's going to be very staticky. If you tune it to the exact spot that the frequency comes in from the satellites or the cell towers or whatever it is that's bringing the frequency in so that you can hear that station, if it's not right in line with where it needs to be, there is not a clear picture. There is not a clear sound, and there will not be a clear outcome. So in order for you to get yourself to have a good outcome, a great positive team, you need to get your frequency in line, right? Because they're going to feed off of you as their leader. Super important, right? You always hear the term lead by example. Well, that includes our mindset. That includes that frequency that we're putting out there so that they can feed off of that. If you're upset about something and you're not posting it, they're still going to sense that. They're still going to sense it. I don't care who you think you are. If you're feeling down and out and not attached to the team or not attached to your business, they're going to feel it. Okay? So leading by example does not only mean doing parties, recruiting, booking, doing, getting the customers communicating with you and doing samples and all of that stuff. It's not just that. It's got to start right here. It has to. Because if you don't have the right mindset, it will eventually start to flail. And you will be floundering somewhere, not knowing what to do with your business. Right? And this can be applied to your personal life too. When somebody goes into a deep depression, how likely is it that the rest of the household is going to feel that, and in some cases start to have their own type of depression? That's a fact, right? It happens. Your husband's in a bad mood, you get in a bad mood. Your husband's in a good mood, you get in a good mood. It's energy. Energy feeds energy. Okay? Robbie said something about affirmations before, and one of the things that I love this saying, and I know a lot of people hate it, but I love it, and it's called fake it till you make it, because I truly believe that even if you're not in the right mindset, if you fake that you're in the right mindset, eventually you will be. And so here's the irony in that. our subconscious mind believes everything that we tell it. And that is a scientific fact. Our subconscious mind believes everything we tell it. So if I were going to say, Edie, you're ugly. I think there's a baby crying. I have to go. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I might have to come back, but I gotta go because there's a baby crying. Oh, this was so good. I'm gonna try to come back, okay? I don't know. I can't hear them. I know, the babies. You can hear them? Yeah, I think she's fussing. I want you guys to look up the book Train Your Brain by Dana Wilde. If you've not read it, that's your homework, is you need to find that book and read it. I hope you got some nuggets from this. I hear them. I gotta go. All right, guys. Love you.